Okay.
I think it only announces to you. Be good? Okay, cool. Yep, I see the red light flashing. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Owner Jack Nagy. I'm a business development coach with mta360. Thanks for joining us to our second webinar in this educational webinar series we're going to be doing every month to kind of give everybody some perspective on this fast-changing internet environment. But in case you don't know who mta360 is, we are a full-service digital marketing, or a full-service marketing agency, and we specialize in the digital marketing space. At the end of the day, it's about driving more business for our customers. So what happens when someone types in a search term on Google? We give our clients the advantage to show up for more particular search terms and expose them to more lead potential than most other companies out there. We've been the best choice provider for named so by Carrie and Brian for the last 7 years in a row. Some things that make us completely different is everything we do is 100% custom and done by hand. We don't use any templates when we build websites. All of the links that we build are done by hand, and we can talk a little bit about that. And we offer a guarantee in the business. So very few companies out in this space will offer any type of guarantee on results, and we're one of the first to do that. Our educational series, like I said, will be done monthly. There's tons of noise out there when it comes to internet marketing. You guys are probably get solicited multiple times per week from everybody and their brother telling you that you're not doing something right and what you're doing is causing you to lose business and so on and so forth. So what we do is offer evaluations to kind of get to the nitty-gritty and dig in and show you what's right and what's not. So for today, the topics we're going to talk about is Google's come out with another major update. It's called BERT, and then there's another portion of that called Possum 2.0. So we'll talk about that. And then I'm sure everybody on the call has heard content is king. And although that's true, there is a correct and a not correct way to put content on your website. So we're going to talk about what does good content mean. And then in that, there's something called tagging and meta descriptions that are on the back end, and a lot of people don't know about them, don't know what they are, don't know how they help. And we're going to dive into that a little bit. So I'm sure you heard Jack and I talking, but on the phone with me is Jack Nagy, the owner, founder, president of mta360 with over 40 years experience in the heating and cooling business. Speaks regularly around the country at dealer meetings, and again with the mission, the sole mission of helping dealers drive more business through the internet. So with that, Jack Nagy.
Well, thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. So based on what you told everybody we're going to cover today, I hope everybody has lunch and dinner and potentially breakfast tomorrow morning ready. But I'm going to try to condense it as much as I can and speak about what's most relevant. And, you know, to kick it off, the easiest way to explain relevancy is life's a journey. And the HVAC industry is a journey. And, you know, growing up, servicing 8 or 10 SEER equipment, you know, that was it. And so we have single stage to 2-stage, you know, to inverters, to VRF, to whatever. You know, where is it going to go? Is it going to stop? No. So when we talk about, and I think it's important because I think there could be some confusion, like what's a possum? Why do they call it possum? What the heck is a BERT? You know, does Ernie come with him? Or what, you know, what is all this? And does it really matter? And does an HVAC dealer have to focus on it? Well, no, the HVAC dealer does not have to focus on it, but the company that is handling their website definitely needs to. When a homeowner contracts with a dealer to put in a new heating and cooling system, they contract with the company that they feel has the expertise, the professionalism, is going to do a great job. So that's really what it comes down to. So we have 2 different updates. And, you know, what I hear is like, okay, are they one of the same? And the answer is no, they're not connected at all. And one, Possum, has to do with the Google My Business. So let me clarify. Google My Business, Google Maps, Google Listings is all the same thing. We're talking the same thing, okay? So what we have, if we were an air conditioning manufacturer and we had a team of people working on indoor product, which they do, and a team of people working on outdoor product. and the team is working on a new outdoor inverter. It's ready. We're going to launch it. The team is working on a new air handler. It's ready. We're going to launch it. Simultaneously, they're both ready at the same time. Well, here is Possum, worked on by the map team, and BERT, which is really more of an understanding and trying to grasp the natural language that we speak as human beings. So first I'm going to talk about Possum. And I know it's kind of like, why would you call something Possum? So I'll explain, why they call it Possum. And then when you hear it, you go, oh, okay, I think that makes sense. All right. So what I'm showing you here, and I'm going to make an opening statement that the world of maps, which is vitally important because more and more consumers are using it, has basically been turned upside down with this new update. And you shouldn't overreact, a lot of dealers, because if you look at this, AC Repair Chicago, the first reaction by many would be, are you kidding me? And I don't know these companies, just happens to be a search I did. And the first company that's showing in the map, Emergency AC Repair Chicago, has a 1-star review and 1 review. And you take a step back and you go, not for nothing, but why would Google show that? So that's what we're going to get into a little bit more today. And when Google has an update, 2 important points of the update. Number 1, does it affect the HVAC industry? Number 2, okay, what are the pros and the cons? Because there's usually both. So we're going to talk about Possum. So here we go. Like I said, you've probably noticed, if you have, a huge change in the local search results, especially as of late. And it's been called the biggest change to Google's local search, the maps, the ranking, the algorithm since 2014. So it's a big deal. Google has really shaken up the local pack and the finder, okay? So the update has been nicknamed Possum because businesses are often filtered out of search results. This causes the business owner to think their listing has been removed, even though it's only filtered or playing possum. So there's the word possum, okay? Possum is an update to Google's local search rankings algorithm, and it decides when your business is going to show up in local search results. Sometimes filtering business listings out of search results. Well, I don't want to be filtered out, though. What do I do about it? This means that some local businesses may not always appear for the same search, especially that they used to. The update will filter out similar listings for an industry and a location in the same way it would normally filter out a business's second listing. Okay, that's a big point. They don't like multiple listings. This would happen if you had more than one Google My Business page, or if your listing was duplicated because of a change in NAP. Now, NAP stands for name, address, and phone number. And what Google does is they verify, and this again is becoming more important. What Google is doing is they are verifying everywhere your business name, address, and phone number is shown on the internet. And little differences like the word avenue, AVE, AVE period, AVE spelled out, or your phone number 1+, your phone number without 1+, your phone number in parentheses on the area code. There are algorithms, these are robots that are looking at this. If it doesn't match, it needs to. So Possum is relying more on NAP. The update is making us a little bit more reliant on NAP, and that should be part of your SEO. And if it's not, I don't know why it shouldn't be, but anyway, it's okay. So Possum's affecting, various types of businesses. Now, so we'll talk a little bit about the negative. Then we're going to talk about the positive. So if a business is outside the city listings, and this is very relevant to the HVAC community because you're a service company. You're not the local pizzeria. People don't come to you. You service, in a lot of cases, 20, 30, 40-mile radius. You don't just stay in the town you're located in. There could be some exceptions. If you're in Orlando, I only service Orlando. There's enough fish in the sea. But the majority of dealers service multiple towns. So it used to be difficult, and even though we accomplish it consistently, for local businesses to show up on location-based keywords if they weren't based inside that location. So for instance, if, again, I'll use a pizza place was located just outside of the town they're located in, it used to be difficult to get the business to show up for searches for that town, for what they do outside the town. Well, the Possum algorithm update has changed it. So now businesses can, again, it's not like just because Possum comes in to play all of a sudden now, yeah, I'm gonna rank in every town around. No. And again, we shouldn't just think that what you do in the build of the site, the way the site is built, the content, the backlinks, the hundreds of items that Google is looking at, they are all connected today. But I am speaking specifically to the Possum algorithm update, which does refer to the maps, but it doesn't negate everything else that needs to be done correctly to show up in the ranks and in the maps and take advantage of the update. So, take advantage of the positives, okay? So now businesses can show up for these types of searches, even if they're slightly outside the city or a town. Now, the reverse could be true too. It can actually make it even worse and you'll show up less. So what we've also seen is companies do plumbing, they do electrical, they do HVAC, and they're like, okay, well, I have 3 separate listings because one for each industry, but I'm in the same location. So what we're seeing, what we believe is going to happen, again, we always want to put this in perspective. Just because Google releases an update doesn't mean it sticks the way they rolled it out. They'll tweak it, they'll revise it, or in some cases, they completely reverse it or go back to what it was. So we don't want to overreact, but we want to be on top of it and understand what it means. So if 2 similar businesses are located in the same building, they probably won't show up in the same search anymore. For instance, if 2 dentists are located in the same building, even if they aren't affiliated with each other or at the same practice, so plumbing, electrical, same business, different industry, they probably won't show up in the same search, okay? So Google looks pretty deep, right? They don't want duplicate listings. They're going to filter that out. Again, it's important to Google, and what we hear all the time is, look at this company. They seem to be trying to game the system. They're building black hat backlinks. The thing to remember with Google is, okay, yes, they live in the gray, but here's the bigger point. And that is, it's not a matter of if Google will catch you doing something you shouldn't do. It's just a matter of when. So you don't go down that road of doing things that are against their terms and conditions. And that's different than recommendations that they may make in how they recommend a website being set up for SEO. So they may say a title tag should have 60 characters. Well, what happens if you do 80 characters? Nothing. Will they like it better? Maybe, maybe not. That's not against their terms and conditions. When they say don't spin articles, don't build black hat backlinks, especially from websites that already have been blacklisted, you do that, yes, the odds are you're going to get penalized. So there's a difference between recommendations and terms and conditions. Basically, don't cross the line when we tell you not to do something, okay? So duplicate listings is really not something that they want. So if you have a duplicate listing, get it cleaned up, get rid of one of them, use the one that is the strongest and move forward with it. Also, they look at the owner of the company. They look at the parent name. They can tell, okay, and this comes up when we're doing optimization, or you have a company that has 3 websites in the same state in 3 major markets or 3 different markets, and then you got to understand, okay, they have 2 different URLs, and so there's a lot involved, and Google today, can figure out a lot of things. So, again, it's not always black and white, but if you have 2 different offices today in the same city, Possum looks like they may very well filter out one of the offices. And what's extremely important and potentially, and I say potentially because I'm not going to tell you we know everything about this update, because anyone who says they do, I'm not sure Google totally understands everything about the update yet until you implement it. But I will tell you this, if you have two offices in the same city, you better make sure that your name, address, phone number is done exactly correct on all the directory listings that Google recognizes and looks at, because I want both of them to come up, and right now it looks like there's a good chance one of them could get filtered out, okay? So it does seem that Google will still be testing the algorithm and the way local businesses show up. Heaven knows, it looks like they've turned the world upside down in some cases. The AC repair I have is a good example. But realistically, the algorithm update, filtering business out of the local search results, it does seem that Google is still testing and tweaking the algorithm, okay? So what I recommend, clean up your local. It's called citations. It is not what the police officer gives you when he pulls you over for speeding. It's directory listings like you would have. A directory listing would be the BBB, Facebook, MapQuest, Yelp, Bing. This is what Google's looking at, okay? And it's extremely important that your SEO company is doing this and looking at this in conjunction with your SEO, okay? So one thing that there is a big focus on, and there's always been, and this does connect, when I say it connects, I don't want to say literally, but it connects in importance, and that's relevance. So it's extremely important that relevance to Google goes a long way. Now, we still hear dealers saying, oh, I don't believe that when you say reviews are important, that, you're just using an excuse. And, let me tell you, that's not an excuse. Think about it this way. When someone leaves you a review, and they talk about you did a great HVAC service or AC repair, that is relevant. It's also relevance to the location of where the consumer left the review from. So anyone who downplays the importance of reviews is really just hurting themselves. I'm not saying it's first and the tip of the spear, but it is a factor to Google, and relevance should be throughout your website, how Google sees it, the pages, the structure, and yes, reviews. Extremely important. So that's kind of the Possum update. What do you do with this information? I guess in a way, hope that the company you're working with is on top of it. Ask them, what their feedback is from Possum. And of course, you could also Google what does the Possum update mean, and read articles from people that are credible. And, I'm not going to tell you that, that I didn't mention some things that I read and articles that were sent to me. Of course I did, because this is what we do. We stay up on top of it. So I'm just the messenger conveying it. But as far as the map listings go, it's vitally important that you rank extremely well in a map listing. Okay, so that's Possum. The next thing is we're going to talk about BERT. Okay, so all right, what does that mean? BERT's basically it's an update, and the easiest way to put it, and I don't have to spend as much time on BERT, but the easiest way to put BERT into place is to say it's an evolution with Google, how they are wanting more than ever to be able to understand what the person is searching. Really talks about natural conversation, natural language. But here's the interesting thing. Different parts of the country, people search differently. So what Google's trying to do is they are trying to understand all of the words in the sentence in the way that it is searched. Because what we find is prior to BERT, very often, you would put multiple words in a search. And their algorithms would analyze the search and show you what they thought was most relevant to the words in the search. Now, I'm going to use a really obscure example, okay? And this happens to do with the search term, okay, which is using the word cow, C-O-W, in context of fishing. And you go, okay, well, wait a second, what the heck? So if I said to you, if I searched great places to go striped bass fishing, guess what? Google got that. They got that before BERT. But what happens if I put in and said, great places to go cow fishing? What the heck is that? Am I fishing for Elsie or something? Elsie the cow? No. So what Google would do prior to BERT is they would understand the word cow being more relevant, and they wouldn't even see fishing. So the return would be bringing up everything that had to do with cows. And here's somebody who's like, I don't want cows. I want to go fishing. You mean, well, but how does it? So in New England, don't ask me how we got started, but in New England, the terminology for striped bass fishing, for looking for large striped bass in saltwater game fishing, is basically cow fishing. Who the heck would know it? I didn't know that. But that was an example that was shared with me. I said, that's a great example. Now, does it, how does that, connect to the HVAC industry? Well, people search differently in different parts of the country. Now, it may not be as dramatic as cow fishing. It could be what, yes, we should understand furnace, and we should understand heater and heating and other ways that people are searching. But it's important to understand, and this also ties into indirectly or directly ties into voice search. And what is being done is your website built and coded, because that's really the key here, code it well enough to help you rank when somebody does a voice search. So keeping BERT simple, and this is an ongoing learning process. Google learns by the way people search. So right now, ECM motors, variable speed motors, are not understood by Google. When the federal guidelines change and all of a sudden PSC motors get phased out and everything's going to be variable speed, and you'll probably see a significant increase in consumers searching to understand what a variable speed motor is. Well, guess what? Google's going to understand people who are searching for variable speed motors are going to wind up on an HVAC site. So then they're going to learn that variable speed motors, ECM motors, X13s, whatever we want to call it, oh, that's connected to HVAC. Which means when somebody does that search, just like cow fishing, they're able to see when they brought up everything about cows, people tried again, not what they wanted. But yet, when they understand now the word fishing is relevant in that term, that they understood that, okay, cow fishing, and we're bringing up sites that talk about bass fishing, people are going there, that's what they wanted. We understand that. We learned from that. That's what it is. It's artificial intelligence learning. And that's what AI is. So that's exactly, that's exactly the focus of BERT, is to get better at understanding the human natural language. Okay? So that's what it is. So with that being said, I don't want to, kind of beat it to death, but again, it just comes down to the understanding of how people are searching for you. End of the day, what's the positive? The positive is simple. If your websites are as relevant as they can be, there's that word again. If they are conveying to Google that you are the most authoritative, that you are the site of the best choice, that in the code, that not only do you have schema markup, you now have JSON. I know, what language is Jack speaking? But if you're actually in that position and, we still see half the sites, JSON is a language that helps Google better understand the name, the address, the phone number, how to crawl the site. JSON is a Java extension, which definitely helps significantly on voice search. So if Google understands that you are the best choice, what do we believe is going to happen? More traffic to our client's website. And I can't convert keywords directly into a lead, and there's still relevance there, but not what it used to be. But boy, can I convert traffic into leads. And guess what? That's what it's all about, make the phone ring. So I only have a few more minutes, and I know there's a lot of topics, and I thought I would be challenged, but that's okay. We'll be back. I'll be back with you and, go over more and more. One of the things that is was on the agenda, talking about something like metadata. So, when you have metadata, that is here. Now, we can tell Google in the code what we want them to show here. And realistically, guess what? They have a mind of their own, and they're going to show whatever they want. But there's relevancy in metadata. And I think it's better if I don't get yet into the back end, because getting into it for a few minutes, I don't think is as relevant. I'd rather just, have, okay, people have questions on code, what does that mean? Keep it simple, but be able to spend a little more time on that. So I think this would be a great follow-up on the next meeting, next webinar, to be able to get into more of the back end. So, what we're talking about today is, yes, I have a new outdoor condensing unit. Wow. I have a new indoor unit. Wow. Okay, but at the end of the day, what's most important? What's most important is that we grasp and understand how we turn this into a positive. And we're already seeing, people coming out and going, we got this, since Google is going to be smarter at understanding what we call long tail keywords, meaning instead of just an AC repair, Google understands who's the best heating and cooling company near me that, installs whatever. Oh, we understand. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to go into the website. We are going to try to stuff it with long tail keywords or terms because we're going to game the system. You know something? That is the opposite of what you should do. Because if you're going to try to game the system's going to get you. So do not try to game the system. So what I'd like to do right now is stop and see if anyone has any questions. We can read them on air. I'll do my best to answer them. And honestly, if you ask a question, I don't have the exact answer, we'll just get the answer. I'm not going to pretend to know everything. No one does. So, Aaron, why don't we open it up to questions and
Yep.
go from there? And I apologize if I didn't get to everything, but it's a lot of subject matter you put out there.
No, you're right, Jack. And when we plan these things, we go back and forth about how much time we want to spend, and we'll spend a few minutes on this, a few minutes on that. So I think it's totally fine. I mean, as long as we're educating everybody and getting enough detail to where they'll learn from it, we can move other topics to other webinars. So I think what you did today was awesome. I forgot to mention in the beginning, if you have a question, use the chat box in the Zoom meeting and type it in, and then we'll address it. I do have one right here that says, what happens when you're using different tracking numbers for each form of advertising? And I think we can maybe, Jack, address this not only from print and website and such, but tracking numbers inside the maps and whether or not you want to do that or not.
That's a great question. We see it all the time. So we talk about tracking numbers, and more with companies using ServiceTitan, Field Edge, they supply tracking numbers. I get it. It's all good. It's good software. So with that being said, putting a tracking number on the website, as long as it's shown in the schema markup, because you got to say, hey, Google, I got to let you know. And that's really the make or break. The question is, if I use a tracking number, can I convey that to Google so they know it's a tracking number? So if I put a tracking number on Yelp, how do I tell Google it's a tracking number? You don't. So if I put a tracking number on my website and I do schema markup correctly, can I convey to Google that tracking number is, or the number on my website is a tracking number? Yes, no problem. The map area now, and we tested it, we're comfortable with it. There's now 2 lines to put a phone number in the Google My Business, the map area. And the first line is your tracking number. And the second line is your actual business number that they'll validate. So the 2 places you could absolutely use a tracking number is in the Google Map area and on your website. Beyond that, if Google can't verify it, if you can't tell them something, 2 things with Google. You got to be able to convey it, and they have to be able to verify it. And if you can't do those 2 things, you don't do it.
Can you talk, I know it's probably a whole other topic we can put onto another educational webinar, but what do you mean by schema code?
Okay, schema markup is a language. Okay, so if we go here, and I'll just show this real quick, not getting into it deep. Okay, so what we have, this is the gibberish that we do from scratch, and such. And one of the challenges you face sometimes with a downloaded theme or template is that they don't update the code, so it doesn't have. So if we turn around and we say, this one might be on our development server, but let's take a look. So if we say schema, all right, so let me grab a keyboard, if I can have that out. Let me grab a keyboard and put it in here, okay. Okay, so here's schema. Okay, now, what you see is, here's the highlighted words in the schema markup. And, what we're doing is we're conveying what they do, how they do it, where they're located and such. Let me go to one that's not on our development server. So let me go here. This is about a 5-year-old site. And just to show you, even on sites that we built 5 years ago, today we've added JSON. Okay, so what does that mean? So what this is showing you here is the type of business they are, and this has to be coded correctly because it's just like the English language. If you don't spell things correctly, people may not know the word you're trying to convey. So what this is saying, I know it looks pretty simple. Well, it's pret's easy. Here's the, telling them that the address is in the footer and telling them it's an HVAC business and, what the address is. And here's all the information. Here's the address, where they're located. Here's their phone number if they're using a tracking number. So it's in the source code. So look at it that this is what Google understands. This is what they read. This evolves. And we evolve with it. So in addition to this, we also have JSON, which is a Java extension. Forgive me for being too technical. It's a Java extension that is very relative for voice search. As you have, various ways of whether it's Siri or whether it's Google or whether it's Alexa. But JSON again is an extension, so it's an extension of the language.
So just maybe to elaborate on the schema a little further, would you say it's fair to say that when you're coding the name, address, phone number in schema markup, it's kind of like putting a highlighter on it for Google versus just typing it on the website by itself if you're using a template or something like that, versus the way we're doing it customized and saying, hey, Google, look at this. We're telling you this is the address. We're telling you this is the phone number, and spelling it out, basically throwing a big yellow highlighter on.
Well, yeah. I mean, when they crawl a site, which, they can crawl every 4, 6, 8 weeks, when they crawl a site, it helps them crawl the site. Years ago, used to use sitemaps. Sitemaps, frankly, have been obsolete for 4 or 5 years. And, these illustrious automated website graders still go, oh, by the way, you have no sitemap. Oh, okay, we don't install 8-SEER condensers yet either, but, I guess I could say, it's just, I'm sorry, it just, kind of irks me that, that the digital space can be the sky is falling, the world's coming to an end. No, just be honest, but to your point, yes, it is like, it's not just highlighting, it's validating, giving Google a point of reference and says, this is what you ought to look for. This is who we are. This is where it is. It's a call tracking number, but here's our actual business number. So, yeah, and schema by itself today, and I'm not saying schema is obsolete, but, all right, you need to move on from that. So I'm not saying unloading scrolls are obsolete, but by the way, there's something called an inverter. So why don't we go to that? And that's schema plus JSON.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. I know in the webinar evaluations that I do with dealers, a lot of the websites that we look at don't have schema code at all. They're missing.
No, and if they do, it's not code. Yeah, if they do, it's not coded correctly.
Right. Well, I don't have any other questions from the group today, so we'll wrap it up here. I want to say thanks for everybody for joining. We will send out a recording for this one, and we'll also send out an invitation for the next educational webinar series. But I'm going to throw a link up in the chat box for everybody. If you are interested in us talking with you directly, kind of breaking down your website, doing what we call a one-on-one website evaluation, we kind of look at your entire digital footprint and go through these things and many others that Jack talked about just in our short time today. We can show you exactly what's working well for you and what's not, and then we can also make recommendations for you as well. There's no cost to it. It's absolutely free. And sometimes it helps to just get a little refresher and say, you know what, I'm paying XYZ for this digital marketing for my company. I wonder how well it's really working. Let's have another set of eyes look at it. So we'd be glad to do that for you. Just click on the link and there's this little sign up form, name, address, and phone number, and we'll give you a call and reach back out to you and set that up. So thanks again for everybody attending today. We'll send out the recording and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody.